let's talk about the next strand called comprehension skills. The great thing to remember about comprehension skills, it's where they've put a lot of the figure 19 skills that we knew from the 2009 standards, but they're more robust here in the comprehension skills. This is a strand that we do all year long. This is not something that we put on a lesson plan, and today I did whatever number, whatever letter. I did 5C, I did 4C. That's not something that we master in one day. This is a very recursive strand. And if you look closely at the knowledge and skills statement, we do this through increasingly complex texts. So let's talk about what this strand means at our grade levels.
When I think about what this means for teachers, when you're looking at, for example, A, it says establish purpose for reading and assigning self-selected text. I'm not sure that there's really a lesson plan that you're going to be able to pull from Pinterest or wherever that can tell you how to do that. I think that this demonstrates that whenever you approach a text as a teacher, that you've got to really open up your head and model what it looks like to open up a book and generate questions, for example, to monitor your comprehension as you're going along. The teacher is going to have to constantly develop and deepen these skills about how they approach multiple different kinds of texts. And it's going to have to be that modeling and them thinking aloud and speaking aloud to show what it is that they're doing whenever they apply these comprehension skills. They're inside your head.
You're exactly right, and I really believe that starts foundationally with the teacher modeling it, those kids retaining those skills, and then building layers so that they can practice what they're seeing and then take advantage of or learn from what the teacher's doing so that they can develop them skills themselves.
I think what that looks like for our very youngest learners is a lot of think alouds, a lot of talking things through when you're talking about students who are non-literate or, they're not writing and reading. Exactly, but showing them what that looks like and what the teacher is thinking and what the process is.
Well, and I loved when we were using our books earlier, when we were talking about taking a more complex text and moving from, the simple text on the page and things like that to where you do same skill, taking it and making sure this is where my child starts, and then moving to another text in the middle of the year that is more complex to by the end of the year they are reading above grade level or on grade level, or they are reading those, so using those same those comprehension skills for all level texts.
I really think it's what you guys are saying, that it's kind of the cognitive and metacognitive side conversations that you have with a student as you read. The page you read might be 30 words, but the thinking that goes along with it, the conversation that you have to have that deepens what the page actually means, because an author says something, but he means something totally different. That's what we're missing, and that's what I think this strand picks up on.
For this particular conversation, there were 3 of them that it started out. What were the 3 books that we did? If you see this laid on top of it like this, it's very illustrative of the complexity and how it's growing over time.
The languages, the length of the sentences, the length of the concentration, and so that's
The
what it's
length
about.
of the paragraphs, the whole thing.
Yeah, I was trying to think of it.
It isn't what you described exactly what adult readers do when we read a book in a book study, or when we are taking a college class, or when we're filling out a contract. We read it and then we call somebody and say, hey, I just read this. I know you're more familiar with lease contracts. Can you explain what this paragraph means to me? And you gain insight from others and you have a discussion, because that's authentic reading, and that's what we're gearing students up for, even from the beginning.
That's what we were talking about. You're building knowledge by being able to read and decode what's on the page, but then you are having a discussion about it so you can make meaning out of it, so that then in turn you can apply that understanding and do what it inspires you to do, or be what it inspires you to become. I think the clearest thing that these standards, you're thinking about new teachers trying to figure out what are you going to do with these standards, I think this is really a model of what the TEKS do for us. There is a foundation here where the TEKS help us build knowledge for whatever it is that we're going to do. Now, in the early grades, there's a lot of attention paid to breaking the code of the language and really developing these skills for phonics, fluency, and decoding. These are some of the comprehension skills that we use to be able to diffuse any text. Then we move kids directly into making meaning, where we're making the connections, evaluating, synthesizing, and summarizing, which then in turn help us climb that wall of what do we do with what it is that we have learned. And that turns into a lot of times about that discussion and that group work and the collaborative work with writing, that we're able to apply what it is that we've learning, which might in turn send us back down here to, do I need more words or more systems to figure out what this text means? And then go back, and it's this recursive cycling thing that gets more complex as kids move up the grade levels.
And that's where those authentic conversations between students comes from. They can read on the page, but then they deepen their meaning through that conversation.
Well, and that's just what you were talking about. It comes from that first strand, the developing the oral language skills.
Yes.
And so even though we're talking about what it is to comprehend a text, we're crossing those strands and we're getting into exactly what we were talking about, is how beautifully wonderful spaghetti our language arts terms are.
A big bowl of spaghetti.
Okay, so not only is the strand robust, the conversation was robust as well. So it's not a strand to be taken lightly. So spend some time in the comprehension skills. So that wraps up our first edition of PD to Teach. We move next segment into response skills and into multiple genres. And that's a strand that a lot of teachers are looking forward to because of the different avenues available to teachers now. So we'll meet next time and discuss the next two strands. Thank you.